Hey everyone, this is James. It is March 28th, about 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USD on the Bitfinex exchange. Every single bar represents 4 hours. And first of all, this is not investment advice. Second of all, I like to go over what's occurring here. So we are in a downtrend, okay? And we have assumed another downtrend frequency. So the same line set you see here, this red line set, used to basically encapsulate this entire move. So what we are continually doing is creating lower highs. So I talk about this in all my videos, but I just like to recap for new viewers. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're also putting in lower lows. It's been a while though, so the question is now, have we changed the trend? And is this 7,300 the low? Basically, what I see here in my recent price action is that we are still in a consolidation zone. Okay, that consolidation zone is right here. And when price consolidates, there's about a 50-50 chance on which way price is going to move. Because what's happening is price has made a big run and it's actually fallen. So it fell pretty hard, consolidated, fell again, and now we're consolidating once more. The question is, do we continue the pattern of breaking down lower? We failed miserably right here at the upper red line right here, okay? So, and I was talking about in my prior videos that as long as price could trade above this area consistently, then that would negate the downtrend. Unfortunately, it has not. It's been rejected and has continued to push lower ever since. Basically, if we can break out of this coil, right? Let me talk about the upside real quick. If we can break out of this coil, bust upward to about maybe 8,250, 8,300, depending on how fast we move, then we can break out of this coil as long as it is a sustained run. What that means is that price needs to trade beyond this zone. There may be a retest and then a push off like so. That is the positive side. The question is though, is even if it does break out, will it break above this area up here where there are obviously sellers, and there are sellers who are selling this hard, and we are talking about maybe 8,900, 8,800, depending on where these sellers are at that time, but you can clearly see them, and you can see that they've continued to step down their selling, and they have done so ever since, even right here. So we have a small little base of buyers. These are your friends if you're trying to get long. The question is, are they going to stay here or are they going to move, and will their stops be blown out? Because a move to the downside out of this coil is going to break much further down to about the 7,500, 7,600 range, depending on how many bars it takes to reach this area. But what I can tell you is that if this does get taken out, we will take out the 7,300 low, and we will start to move lower into the 6,000. So probably the mid to high 6,000 range. The question is, yeah, if we break out the 7,300, yeah, we're about this high 6,000. This is where we'll probably end up once we finalize this move. Now, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily the nail in the coffin for Bitcoin. There's still a possibility that we do put in a high over the 6,000 low. A higher low over the 6,000 low. And I've talked about that in my prior videos, how I've expected a higher low than the 6,000 low. Unfortunately, when you look at the chart on the bigger time frame, you can see exactly what's happening ever since the bubble phase has worn off and we've continued to go lower. It's been nothing but a series of lower highs and lower lows. And what that means is that less and less buyers are showing up to buy Bitcoin. And that's just the basic, just looking at the chart, seeing the higher lows and lower lows and the lower highs. Okay, it just means that sellers are in control of this market, and they are continuously in control. And every time there is a rise, it gets hammered down, and these rises are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the question is, what's tonight going to hold? And even if it does break out, I really don't see much upside, especially based on as you look at this, you can see how much smaller price movement has gotten ever since we've been in this area. As I trace this, you can see how much smaller the moves are getting. Everything's just getting tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier. So it looks like the market is just slowly, I don't know if it's just slowly, not necessarily like withering away. I think withering away is probably the only best way to kind of describe it. But what I mean is like the volatility is withering away. It means that the market is coming to more of a flat line than anything. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Basically, you can kind of see a lower volatility, like in the stock market. Obviously, what has occurred over the past few days and past week has been extremely volatile in the market, but you have to keep in mind the market has had a monstrous run. And I mean, it's just, ever since 2008, that market has just gone up and up and up and up. And yes, there have been corrections during that time frame, but you know, when you kind of look at the runs, yeah, they're kind of vertical, but they're just nice and subtle. And then maybe that's exactly what's occurring here in Bitcoin. Okay, I've talked about that in my prior videos, that we would put in a higher low at a much more subtle slope, and then from there price would work its way up the same way like that you would see in the stock market, the same way you would see in the fiat market. But what I can tell you is that if we do break down from here based on what is occurring here, okay, when you look at the trend, right, the recent trend since December, since earlier this year, has been nothing but lower highs and lower lows. So if we break below this area and we start to head towards the 6,000 low, I think there's a high probability we bust it out, only because history is showing that we are consistently putting in lower highs and lower lows. So we'll see what happens. We're kind of at a point to where we don't have much more downside. We have 1,900 more points, and it's really not a lot, especially when Bitcoin can throw $300 to $500 bars out, and sometimes even more, sometimes 1,000-point swings within like a day. You know, 1,900 points, there really is not a big buffer over this 6,000 low right here. So we'll see what happens. You know, this unfortunately not much has unfolded from yesterday. We're under some pressure points. We have the purple line cutting right through price action right here that you can see applying pressure to this formation, and you can also see the golden or orange line, we could call it, and price is broken above that and now is traded beyond it. Now, this is a very vertical line, so I don't really put too much emphasis on the more vertical lines. The purple line, though, may hold the pressure point to where if price does break above it, there may be the pop, like I talked about in my prior video, a pop up, and then a reverse downward to blow out this area and then move lower into the, you know, very low sevens like 7,000, 7,100 to the high sixes between 6.7 and 6.8. So it's kind of hard to give an exact figure because it's going to depend on the bar formation and how fast price moves. So obviously, you know, a few $100s really is not a big deal in Bitcoin. But anyways, that's what I see now. So right now my current sentiment is bearish based on the prior price movement and based on what's going on here. We do have a consolidation, so really anything can happen. But even if we do get the pop, I'm not really expecting much out of it based on everything else that's going on. So that's it for tonight. I'll talk to everybody tomorrow evening. If you do like the video, please like, comment, follow, subscribe. You can also share it as well too. You know, if you comment or ask any questions, I don't get back to you, don't get upset. I'm just really busy, and if I don't get back to you, it's not that I'm ignoring you. You can also, I do have a Slack channel that's absolutely free for anybody to join who's interested in cryptocurrencies. You can find that in the description, or you can also visit my site, geometriccharts.com, and you can learn more about me there, and the Slack channel is at the bottom with all the rest of my social media links. Hope everybody has a great night or a great day depending on where you are, and I will talk to everyone tomorrow.